Assalamu alaikum, dear listeners. In the reading of the book Fatima is Fatima, we are continuing with the chapter and the today we begin from page 52 of chapter 6, and the next subtopic is realism, a means of serving idealism. One of the peculiarities of Islam is that it accepts both beliefs which are identical to it as well as coercive beliefs of society. It admits to the existence of both. Here the perception of Islam is special. The idealistic schools of thought lean upon the highest values, the absolute, the most desirable ideologies. Each and every reality is categorically rejected if it does not suit them. They have no patience. They deny pleasure and lovers of wealth. They deny realities and dig out the roots of anger. Anger, violence, the seeking of pleasure, and lovers of wealth are realities which exist. Moral idealism or religious idealism, that is Christianity, ignores them and denies their existence. They are condemned in any form. On the other hand, schools of thought which are based on realism accept all things as the basis of reality. For instance, sodomy is accepted in England or in Christianity due to religious idealism, not reality. Divorce is prohibited because of not wanting to destroy family order and believing that marriage is an ideal sacred link. But reality is other than this. Some human beings cannot preserve the first sacred marriage and remain loyal to each other. It so often happens that human beings grow apart during their lifetime. They become strangers. They live together like two pitiful people. That which has joined them is not love. It is the ties of the law. They are two inflicted people. They might even become lucky with someone else. This is a reality which has existed in the past, exists in the present, and will exist in the future. Civilized and uncivilized people, the religious and the non-religious, have felt it and continue to feel it. Statistics show it, but Christianity denies the reality. They bind marriage to the sacred. They force a family to stay together even when there is a real hell behind the doors and the family has become a center of murder, adultery, and corruption. The door of divorce has been closed, but thousands of windows of swindling and illegality have been opened. Concubines, foreign secrets. Social realities are such that we do not open doors to them. They will spring out from the windows. Forbidding divorce brings about a type of concubinage. That is, a man who cannot live with his legal wife actually separates from her without being able to get a divorce. The same is true for a woman. She cannot get the divorce, but she lives separately. They each live for years separated from each other with another man or woman. The children which are born out of this situation are natural but illegal. They have sick beliefs and complexes. They become frightening murderers. Their spirit is antisocial. A person and her legal husband become strangers. They begin opposing each other. They reach the same conclusion. Their marriage of husband and wife is not just sleeping together. It cannot continue. They cannot even live as neighbors. It is natural that they separate. The man leaves the household and goes looking for a type of woman he always wanted. Love is the need for the family life, and the pull of sex, one way or the other, helps them to find a natural tie. They find a place and live together. The wife's life takes exactly the same pattern and the same fate. As a result, we see that nature and reality build two new families, two incompatible types who are replaced by another two. But Christian ideology does not accept this reality. Therefore, no one, including that man and woman, is responsible. They close their eyes so as not to see it. As a result, it accepts, in legal terms, a decomposed house which has no external existence. Its materials have all been used to make another house. It is the former house which they know as official, and they deny these two natural families. Here we see the distance between common law, civil law, and religious law, and how natural forces, realities, and oppositions arise. As a result, families which are religious or Christian do not actually exist, and families which are real and natural are considered to be corrupt and sinful. Christianity, by denying this reality, causes the family which comes into being to be illegal. The children which are born out of this union of concubinage are also illegal. From the point of view of a religious society, they are criminals and murderers. They do not have a share in the kindness of the family, nor the purity of society. Society looks upon them as sinners. Complexes arise within them. They suffer in anger and as an anguish which is beyond the imagination. They take their revenge on society. All these crimes which occur in Europe and in particular in America do not exist in backward and underdeveloped countries. The reason is that in these Western societies, even though they have civilizations in the sense that they have culture, ethics, nourished minds, freedom of thought, the individual, society, and religion, there is something born into this generation which fills up their beliefs and makes them take revenge upon society in the worst of forms. An Englishman had built something which resembled a very small bow and arrow. He had attached this to a box upon which he had displayed cigarettes, selling them along the streets and movie houses. He shot a tiny poison-tipped arrow into a group of people which either blinded or killed them. The police could not find the killer. They were looking for a motive connecting the murderers and the murdered. But the murderer had no particular reason for murdering these people. He murdered simply because they were accepted by society and he was not. Such a murder can be explained according to the principle of society. It is the effect of complexes which the church refuses to accept and closes its eyes to. It has had a hand in bringing it about. Fortunately, we have not yet seen such complexes because there is divorce in our society, there are no illegal families, and because there is divorce, there is no family which is a non-entity because families are not forced to live with each other through common law. They do not bind them together through the force of law. A child wanted to be out of room, but a samovar, a teapot, and various dishes were in the way. He closed his eyes and tried to pass through. He thought all the obstacles were gone. Idealism is like a child who does not see reality. It does not want to see reality. It closes its eyes so that which it does not want to see. Because it does not see them, it thinks they do not exist. The opposite of idealism is realism. Its followers are everything, no matter how ugly or unpleasant, simply because it has an external existence. They accept a thing attach their hearts to it, and find faith. They oppose and reject, however, all beauty, truth, and correctness, simply because these do not agree with existing realities. They reject them because they are ideal, and through this rejection, they become unbelievers. One of my students, who was among the pseudo-enlightened of this country, drew only one conclusion from our conversations. As he was a supporter of dialectic materialism, and I was religious, a believer in Islam, he rejected whatever I said because because of his preconceived notions. Even if I said something which agreed with the Marxism and which too should have agreed with, as I didn't explain to him what idea it was, he rejected it. One day I was speaking about the murders committed by the Umayyads and disagreements which existed between the classes. They had a political dictatorship which dominated religion in order to explain the situation. They wanted people to believe that whatever happened was God's will. This, they said, was particularly true about their own government. One spoke about the people who opposed them and resisted the situation. I saw how many students suddenly became unhappy. I was opposing the Umayyads and praising Ali, Fatima and Abu Zar, Hujr and Hussein as leaders of a movement for justice and human freedom and against prejudices, oppression, and ignorance. What could this first-class entitled enlightened thinker do? He yelled out, "The despot is history." That is, according to the Marxist philosophy of history, society must move through historic phases, and it had to reach this stage in order for it to be a historic reality. Ali, Hussein, and Abu Zar were ideologists who opposed the despotism of history. I said, "The mercy of God be upon this enlightened one." I see that I was right in reiterating the fact that when the level of thought and vision of a society is transformed, the religions, non-religious, enlightened, reactionary, and ignorant scholar are all the same. When a religious view prevails, when it comes upon an unknown and uncomprehended fact, it calls it fate and destiny, meaning the divine despot. It believes that whatever occurs is the will of God. When a society becomes Marxist, it believes in the despotism of history. It believes that whatever happens is beyond human will. Whatever exists is accepted because it is a reality which results from the despotism of history and despot of society. I said, "No, look, my friend, the sword is the despot here, not history." We see that realists believe that whatever exists should be as it is. The members of the parliament in England defend the laws of homosexuality because it is an objective reality which exists in society. Therefore, it must be made legal. To oppose this realism is to worship idealized fantasies which form the basis of politicians and pseudo-intellectuals. You do not hear them argue that Israel is a reality. Yes, it is, but the settlement of the Palestinian people in lands occupied by Israel show the manifestation of someone who worshipped the ideal, even though it is. Even though it is wrong, it is a reality which must be accepted. Although it moves against the grain of humanity, although it's a murder, it exists. Politicians and intellectuals accept it and officially recognize it. A magazine entitled "This Week" has recently been published for young people. All the articles, translations, news items, and photographs are the total writings of 2 or 3 well-known writers using pen names. These writers visit warehouses and then damn them. They write for our young people, giving them a point-by-point description of events which take place. One of the top writers who is knowledgeable is a politician who officially represents Islamic culture. He advises women who are overweight and unhappy because of it, in order to develop a better form, become better looking, and prevent the growth of further layers of fat, they should find an illicit lover for a while. This is all a reality. Most probably, the committee of writers had themselves first scientifically experienced this and had practically gained from it. The weakening of the weak by the strong is also a reality. Oppression and suppression of certain classes is also a reality. Reality seekers are completely objective viewers. They see the external form, which is a scientific and sensible reality. Then they judge. They face no difficulties with imagination, ideology, ideas which are not translated into real forms. We see that an idealist, a thinker, a reformer is called towards mental desires, ideals, and sacred values, goodness, and the highest needs. He denies or rejects the realities which deviate from his beliefs and acts as an existing barrier. It is impossible to negate them. He turns his back on them, or else through inexperience rejects them. He pulls himself away from realities. He thinks in terms of imagery. He occupies a sacred place which does not realize that he is in an idealistic environment. He drowns himself in objective and sensible phenomena and the existing situation. A realist, on the other hand, kills flights of thought, mounted spirits, visions, efforts, longing desires, and the seeking of perfection. A realist keeps everything as it is. He builds walls around the framework of existing values and within the existing situation. He paralyzes creative thought, rebellion, and the deep changes of life. The changes in the coercion of history and social conditions are desensitized along with changing ways of thought, the type of needs and desires, and the present external purposes of mankind. They surrender to reality and nourish that which exists. Dear listeners, the next subtopic is neither idealism nor realism, but both. Islam is a pure tree which belongs neither to the east nor to the west, and has its roots in the heavens and its branches reaching towards the earth. Contrary to idealism, Islam recognizes the existing realities in life, in the body, and in the spirit of an individual, as well as in those found in community relationships, those which reach the depths of a society and can be seen in the motion of history. Islam, as with realists, admits to the existence, but opposed to realism, it does not accept the status quo, but changes them. It changes their essence in a revolutionary way. It carries realities along with its ideas. It uses realities as a means to reach the idealistic goals. Its real desires, which are non-existent by themselves. Unlike realists, Islam does not submit to realities, but rather it causes the realities to submit to it. Islam does not turn away from realities as idealists do. It seeks them out. It tames them. Through this means, Islam uses that which hinders the idealists as a composite for its own ideals. Take concubinage, for instance, which in Europe is considered to be an illegal, abhorred, and an unclean marriage, but it exists. It exists throughout Europe and America, and in very religious societies and groups as well. But Islam accepts divorce, a new marriage contract, and temporary marriage in certain very exceptional cases. Islam accepts divorce on certain social circumstances. If it did not accept a divorce, divorce would still exist, but it would be outside its control. By accepting an unavoidable natural reality, it makes it into a legal form. As a result, one can conquer the sense of guilt one has in the eyes of God and society. Thus, their contract is based upon ethical principles and religion is preserved. These people can nourish their environment. Society does not look upon them as sinners or as their children as illegal and impure. Islam succeeded the day it admitted the existence of these social and human realities. Because of this, it can control its results. It can give realities a legal form. It can correct their form. It can give them an ethical and religiously accepted form. By confirming and admitting the existence of a reality, Islam gains strength. It can control, guide, and dominate the reality within a framework. If we deny realities, they will dominate us. Without knowing it, we will be pulled wherever they want us to go. As can be seen, realism is drowned in existing realities, whether good or bad. On the other hand, realism can be seen running away from these very same realities. Idealists sacrifice more than they are imprisoned in the chains of useless customs. Realists move along with realities and accept them, whereas ideals who do not recognize them, do not see them, and deny them through their ignorance and their attachment to imaginary ideals. Idealists then face an attack. They fall on their knees because they are defenseless, inexperienced, and weak. They will be destroyed. We don't see the form that girls who are raised in very strict religious homes take. We don't see her when she covers her face, so that, God forbid, the fish in the courtyard pool do not see her. What happens when she enters the ocean of society? She vigorously swims, but she is so afraid that she loses control of herself and drowns. In order to make up for what she lacks now, she pays her fine 1,000 times over. The same is true for young men who grow up in a pious society. The no way rich have just moved from the former world of their idealistic pseudo-religious environment. There they were prohibited from learning physics or chemistry or studying at the university. The women are forbidden to have a high school or college education. The men do not shave their beards. They sit in the coaches instead of in buses or in taxis. They wear no necktie. They do not let their hair grow long. They will not change the form of their clothes or their hairstyle. They neither buy radios nor do they spread the word of the Quran through a microphone. Suddenly, these young people faced a new world of realities full of twists and turns. You will see what confusion it has caused. He sees the pretense. He has learned certain airs through having had them translated in films into Persian. He learns about showing off luxury and being silly. He sees the exaggeration of it all. It is so exaggerated that even foreigners laugh about it. Why? Because they exist side by side with reality where we deny them before we even come to know them. This is why we have been captured. Then this new civilization has attacked all boundaries and watchtowers of the world. They have been made to fall down. The new generations have been caught by the speed of the wind of the Renaissance. The intellectual movements, the Great French Revolution, and the industrialized lifestyles as they blew continuously. These change the weather of the world, the changing of the atmosphere of our country. The changing of the atmosphere of our country is also a reality. It is a most certain reality. It is clear that sooner or later the lightning will strike. Then, when it does not, machines, printing presses, universities, democracy, radios, television, movies, newspapers, books, schools, women's education, new techniques, new sciences, and many other new things will come and will change them. The leaders of the people, those responsible for their ethics, those who have given them the responsibility of guiding their lives and thoughts, those who stand face to face with unavoidable realities have closed their eyes. They have given their hearts to mental ideologies and to their ancient thoughts. They have tried to preserve their horse-drawn carriages side by side with taxis. And they will still light lamps having electricity. They are aware. They even correctly predict this truth. They predict the phenomena of the rush to the inferior world. They know it will bring about the decline of much of the beliefs, faith, piety, health, and independence. They know that corruption will find a home deep within people's brains. But face to face with this coercion and this rush towards a new phenomena, knowing the order of relationship which it imposes when it reaches the furthermost points and the most backward tribes of society, even those in the depths of the desert, they only say one thing and one thing only: forbidden. Radios, don't buy one. Movies, don't see them. Television, don't watch it. Loudspeakers, don't listen. Universities, don't go. The new science, don't study it. Newspapers, don't read them. Vote, don't give it. Office work, don't do it. And women, shh, don't mention that word. Face to face with the flood of industry which covers the world and changes which have taken place in the world order, seeing a civilization which sells refrigerators to the Eskimos, they stand to prevent it from coming about by completely defending the past. Their total army and defense consist of two things only: a word along with a negative command: forbidden and no. What's the result? What do we see? What we see is what happens. Events and realities break the barriers and tear down the watchtowers. Realities tear down the bricks of the walls and destroy the defenseless defenders of the past who are hidden behind them with their eyes closed, or who have turned their faces away as a sign of their disapproval. The force of these realities ruins everything at once. They attack for the cities, inhabited areas, the bazaars, mosques, and even our homes, like wild bulls, wolves, and chained dogs. They plunder everything, but they do not leave. They come, they kill, they burn, and they take, but they do not leave as the army of Genghis Khan had done. Why? Because no one even sees them. Our border guards, our watchmen don't like them. They are so exasperated that they don't even bother to look at them. They don't want to go and separate the good from the bad and correct them. They don't want to adapt them to the climate and the people of our country. They don't want to choose among them. They don't want to shame, control, and dominate them. They stand in the middle of the road facing a driverless car. They are run over and crushed. This is why veiled women who want to give birth to their children scream, "Why men physicians? Why should women not be treated by women physicians?" She wants her child to go to school and to the university. Her cries increase. Is this the faculty of literature or a fashion show? Is this an Islamic university? Is this an Islamic society? Does this school smell just a bit of Islam? Does it contain a bit of ethics and meaning? Is this the radio of a religious country or just a noise box? What kind of a tradition is this from one culture to another? This television, this publication, this gathering, these laws which act as balancing scales, these banks, what film is this? What theater? What art? What craft? Really, what kind of a civilization is this? But then again, as Hafiz, the great Iranian poet, has said, as our destiny has been made in our absence, if just a little bit is not according to our wishes, don't worry. And in our case, we have to say, if all of it is not according to our wishes, don't worry. When these realities come and find a place for themselves, when they begin to work, you are absent. You have run away. When you, a pious man, a religious, ethical Muslim, sensitive to people's feelings, responsible for the spirits and thoughts of society, preserver of Islamic culture, sulk and retire into a corner, you allow a Khan, Raza Shah, to bring and put a new civilization into effect and employ a new industry and science for your society. It takes great effort to effectively interfere in events which unfold. Yet, it is only through this effort that you can guide the determined motion of society. People who believe we should preserve that which is incapable of being preserved and that which is dying, and you are in a position to advise those who inspire, those who appease, and those who give condolences. Do not recognize the dangers. They create believers from among those who accept the unacceptable. They delude the majority of the society. They keep in a state of bending forward, silent, weak, and submissive. Those who seek a flowing and active society and want a better human life, acknowledgement, and realities. They know pain. They take their strength from their realities in order to heal their wounds. This does not include those who, as demigods, defend that which is incapable of being defended, nor those who take the public into their own hands, nor those who follow the styles of the day, nor those who praise according to what is fashionable, nor those who try to attach themselves to something. Those are acknowledged realities are people, those who acknowledge realities are people who know time moves. They know that society has a skin which it sheds. They feel that the strong forces of the world have turned to us to make the change. Neither they are sufficiently without pain to sit down and watch, nor are they without shame to be able to take whatever job is handed to them. They are not so stupid as to react in such a way that when they see a flood has come to cover their town, they should try to protect only their life and children, keep them safe, and pull their own carpets from the water because they know it is a wrong and useless act. They know that today is not like the past where families were living in a closed society. Now, even if you hide your daughter in the back room of your house, national and international television will follow her, find her, and show her the attractions and the show of the outside world. Dear listeners, with this we come to the end of the chapter and to the end of page 63 of the book. We beg leave now from this platform, and we will be soon with you for our next reading session. Goodbye until then. Thank you.